We certainly, obviously, I guess it's obvious, we ask for writing samples. And again, I think it's easy to detect AI generated content today. That may change tomorrow. Tomorrow they may figure out how to give it a heart, but today, you can spot it pretty easily. So our editing team is able to assess the quality of someone's written content, and so it's still very old school in that way.
This is the unfiltered truth about entrepreneurship. Raw, no BS, no sugarcoating. Welcome to Entrepreneur Intel. I'm your host, Wes Matthews. Each episode, we'll learn from experienced founders and uncover the top 5% learnings that led to their success in all things personal, family, and business. This show is sponsored by Stealth Consulting, delivering clear marketing strategies, ROI, and no surprises. So I am super excited for today's guest coming off of the 4th of July break here. Dave Kustin, welcome. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So I want to dive in, right? So you and I both come from a background of something called the EO Entrepreneur Organization, which is great. It's an organization I joined in 2014 that, I was, as an entrepreneur, to me, it's super lonely. There's a lot of things that happen as an entrepreneur. And somebody told me about EO, and I'm like, what's this EO thing? And they're like, well, if you're lucky enough to do $1 million in revenue, there's all these people that join. They're all crazy visionaries. I'm like, well, what's a visionary? I didn't even know what that was. And I'll never forget, I immediately applied. I got in somehow, and I go to my first event. There's like 100 people that are like me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I found my tribe of people, right? And I thought I had like a mental illness or there was something wrong with me before I met all these other people. Like, what was your journey to EO? What year did you start?
Yeah, so kind of similar. I joined EO initially as an accelerator with one company, and then I graduated into EO with a different company. But I joined as an accelerator, I think it was 2012, 2013, and I had a brand strategy advertising agency called Element M. And I was really focused on wanting to scale the business, but I didn't really know how to do it. And so I was introduced to EO, the accelerator program, which, if you know a little bit about it, it's designed to help you accelerate, put all the structure in place to get to that $1 million in annual revenue. But when I got into my accountability group, and parallel, I was reading a book called Built to Sell. And Built to Sell, written by John Warrillow, who now has a pretty popular podcast. That book was a parable about a guy who owned an agency and who was trying to scale his agency. And I'm reading this book, I'm like, Jesus, this is me he's writing about. And so, make a long story a little bit short, I realized I really couldn't scale the agency. That doesn't mean agencies can't be scaled. Of course they can be, but I felt like I couldn't do it, or I didn't have the desire maybe, or had what it took to step out of the creative director role, which I was in and I loved so much. So I met someone else in the accelerator program who was sort of on the same or similar path, had an agency, not scaling. We started a new company called ContentBacon, which was from the jump, we said, we're going to build this thing for scale. And so, there's details I'm leaving out, but that was really the start of it.
So how did you guys figure that, right? So like, you meet somebody that's kind of going through the same struggle, or maybe like, did you quickly, were you guys the same type of personality, or did this person offer something that you were kind of failing? Like, how did you guys identify that there might be an opportunity here?
Well, I think we were complementary. But I also think both of us had the ability to be left brain, right brain on demand as needed. I think what we were both really aligned on was wanting to create a business that was scalable while also serving a real legitimate need in the marketplace. When we started the business in 2014, there was not a service like ours. And so we like to think we created that part of the category of content marketing service companies. And so I think that was probably the thing that really drove us into wanting to build something, which was filling that gap in the category.
So when you discover this, right? Because I think EO is really interesting, or like, is anybody listening, like any type of, if you can surround yourself with like-minded people kind of going through the same thing. Now, when you guys came together for ContentBacon, like, did you guys kind of bring everything you had into that company together, or did you kind of run those parallel, or?
We were half pregnant. for a bit. And then we got to a point where we're like, we can't be half pregnant. And we both let go of our old businesses. I kept mine, on the shelf, so to speak. But my day-to-day operations or focus was in ContentBacon. I didn't come back to Element M until fairly recently, and we could talk about that if you want. But we did at one point let go of our agencies. Yeah.
So what changed, right? So if you're sitting as a creative director doing all the work, but you want to scale a company, you somehow had the realization that you have to get out of client work and hire the right people. Like, what was the catalyst that actually got you to let go of that vine? Because that's super scary, right? Like you're the guy, you're probably the smartest creative director you've ever met, but you want to scale. So what was sort of your thinking or rationale behind it? Where do you go?
I think this change in the thought or the thinking was, well, I can still be a creative guy, but I have to be creative about a different thing. Like how can I be creative about scaling? How can I be creative about attracting our customers or our ideal customers? How can I create the company to be magnetic? And so, it went from sort of playing one instrument in the orchestra to playing the orchestra. And, that became apparent to me through the accelerator program, doing every quarter, we had a quarterly day and, collaborating with the community, the tribe, as you put it. And, how you think about things had to change, or for me, it had to change.
So what was it? I mean, did you guys implement, was it more of an accountability thing and kind of put out here's what I'm going to do and these people are going to hold me accountable? Because I think as a visionary or as an entrepreneur sometime, who's holding you accountable to, decisions?
Yeah, certainly my accountability group and my business partner. We held each other accountable. We were very clear on, if you say you're going to do this thing by this date, do it. And if you're not going to make the date, you got to be in communication about it. And so, we were very clear about our accountabilities and the things we were giving our word to. Early on, we brought in a coach to help us with that kind of communication with, again, what are you giving your word to? And if you're not going to be able to fulfill on your word, then you have to make a new commitment. So we built those muscles really early on. But my accountability group was a key factor in that. My coach in the accountability group, those were instrumental.
So you mentioned in 2014, nothing existed like what you guys were creating. Can you dive a little deeper in that? What problem were you guys actually solving? Or what were
great question. So at that time, we wanted to. We both had agency backgrounds, right? So we knew that model, but we didn't want to be positioned as sort of that people. We didn't want people to be like, "Oh, you're an agency. I already know that. I already know what I think I know about you." And so we surveyed the market, and there are resources on one end of the spectrum. Call it Upwork, Fiverr at the time, where you could hire a person to write content for you. That was easy to secure. Then on the other end of the spectrum, there were agencies like Brafton, big content marketing agencies charging, $25,000 a month, and really nothing in the middle. And so we said, okay, we're going to be right smack dab in the middle of those two opposing resources or paradigms. But we don't want to be an agency. We called ourselves, the anti-agency very early on. And what does that mean? So in the agency world, a lot of agencies, if not all agencies, their pricing model is such that it's flexible, right? I'm going to charge you what I think I can get you to spend. And that may look different from this customer to this customer or client, just because I think you could pay more. So we did not want to be that way. So we were very transparent from the start. You're going to get this, you're going to pay this. And our model was a sort of a good, better, best model, complete transparency. Every month we're going to do these things and you're going to pay this number. And so that separated us immediately. People like to know what they're going to pay and they like to know what they're going to get. And so we saw that vacuum in the middle there, and we we built the company around that.
So a couple things I want to dive in there. One, we're talking content. So I'm assuming like the voice of the company, how they show up for marketing, which I'm assuming a lot of clients, they're all gung-ho, they're ready to go. And then they get their content and they're like, yeah, this isn't what I thought it was, right? So like, what were some of the challenges? Because you guys identified a problem, right? You've got the Fiverr, you've got the big guy. I mean, Fiverr, I apologize, but like it's terrible to try to manage somebody off Fiverr.
Terrible.
I'd rather eat the $5 bill, honestly. And then you have like big, complex, will charge you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's still the dilemma of a client that, well, why do I even need to do content? How do you even put a price to that? Maybe I should just hire somebody internally, or my sister's cousin's brother's girlfriend wrote a paper in college, right? Like, number one, you got to get people to pay you, but then talk a little bit about that deliverable and how you hit that satisfaction, with a company.
So again, very deliberately from the beginning, we knew that there's writers out there, and we knew companies hire writers all the time. From our view, what's missing from that very often is, or rather, maybe initially, what's present is the client is sort of playing the strategy role, and they're also potentially playing the editor role. And so we wanted to eliminate that. We did eliminate that. And so the team that we built included writers, professional writers, not someone who can write, but someone who writes for a living, someone who has a background in writing. That's part one. Part two, we also hired editors. Writers are great, but writers are better when they have an editor as part of the team. And then third, we would also hire strategists to create that content strategy. And we never ever wanted our customer to say to us, hey, what are we writing about this week? Doesn't happen. We create a content strategy, and then we create a content plan or roadmap that goes 90 days out. And so it's just happening, right? In the background, clients do have to, or customers rather, and that's, again, another distinction we made. Agencies have clients. A service has customers. And so, yes, customers need to read and approve content, but they never need to, rewrite anything. We just wanted to eliminate all the friction that often occurs when a company hires just a writer. And so we're your content team. We're your outsourced content team, and we solve it for you.
How long in forming the new entity, both of you coming from the agency world, like at some point, I think in every entrepreneurial experience, people are like everything to everybody, even as tight as they can get their ideal customer profile, but everybody takes on not ideal customers, right? And I think in your world, there's probably some very specifics. Like, how long did it take you to really figure out your ideal customer profile?
Yeah, also great question. So, we launched officially October of 14. And my partner and I both have pretty extensive networks. We've been in business and been around. So we had a lot of people to share the story with. And we got 10 customers right away. And so, special deal, launch deal, whatever. But we got 10 customers right away. And I think the thing that helped us get really clear on our ICPs was HubSpot. And so going back to 2014, 2015, we started to, consume their content. We became an agency partner. I'm not sure what year, but call it 2016, 2017. And they really helped us get clear on, what that ICP looks like. And it's sort of more psychographic than demographic. But they helped us quite a bit. And that really enabled us to, not take on customers that weren't ideal.
And dig a little deeper on that. Like, how did HubSpot, like, what was the solution? Because HubSpot's a CRM, it's a marketing platform, but like, what specifically helps you?
So their content was really all around content marketing, right? The need for it, the benefit of it, how it aligns with sales, how it supports sales. They were they were able to articulate content marketing. Putting out content is good for professional services. It's good for companies that have what's called a considered purchase. So a considered purchase is maybe something that's thousands of dollars, or it's important to the person. So, for example, there's a number of medical procedures that perhaps my insurance company will pay for it. So it doesn't cost me thousands, but it's certainly important to me as the human being. So considered purchase, long sales cycle, prospects do research before they engage. Those were really the big main points that HubSpot helped us get clear on.
Gotcha. So if if you're a service-based company or any type of company for that matter, like everybody at some level knows content's important, but if you have a Lamborghini in a garage but you want to show it off, like what do you do with it? Like, is it just for your website? Is it, you have the best writers, but like, how does somebody actually find the product from your experience, and how do you marry that with success? Yeah.
So the other part of that, who is this good for, or why is it good, is it helps your search results. There's not every single one of our customers after they work with us, their traffic increases. Every single one, 100%. Now, if you are able to, or if our customer is able to, sort of bolt on SEO services, technical expertise married with content, organic content, now you really have a formula for winning. You really have a formula for bringing traffic into the site. We would always compare it to like a retail store. It's like we want to bring people into the store. That's your website. You want people to ask questions. That's conversion opportunities. And then you want people to ultimately buy. And so that's a metaphor for content marketing.
So how important is that? Like, so I come from, my background is, we did website design development, organic search, and paid search for years, right? I started that company in 2009. We sold the majority of it in 21, and customers would invest a ton of money in their website, in SEO, in paid search. And then when we would talk about investing in content, they'd be like, oh, like, I don't want to do it. Or like, why do we have to do that? I'm like, this is crazy. Like, how do you, there's a lot of different, rabbit holes we could go down, but to me, it's like there's different levels of clients and ICPs that one category probably greatly appreciates it. And the other one's like, we just need leads like yesterday.
Yeah. And we've experienced that same dynamic. We've had those conversations for 10 years, and there is a universe of customers out there that get it. They want the technical SEO, and they understand that the content is the content speaks for the company when a person can't. It's like it's a 24/7 salesperson. That's what your content's supposed to be, because people are doing, prospects are doing research whenever they want to do it, and the data shows that they do research before they speak to someone. One, and two, most of their decision-making process is complete by the time they get to a salesperson. They just want that salesperson to validate what they already have decided or believe they've decided. So to resist having content to me is so short-sighted, but those people are out there.
So if there's a company out there that's like, we're close but not quite there, like what's like the top 1 to 2 things that somebody could do today? Is it do a blog a month, every week? Is it social media twice a day on Sunday? Like what's some like cheap and dirty, like write blog articles and add them to your site. And I would say, I gave a talk this morning, and this came up to some degree. A version of this came up, and write an article as often as you can. I mean, monthly is not enough. It's just not enough. Like, more content is more better in this game. That's the content game. More is better. So write as much as you can. So it sounds like, you'd have to follow like a strict diet regimen. Like, at what point do people see results? Because like at some point somebody's like, man, I've been writing an article for whatever, like I haven't seen anything, or like, how do I quantify that? Or, I can't, or is that a good opportunity for you guys to come in and say, well, we'll just do it for you and do it better?
Well, I would ask you to put your website building hat on for a second. And I would say to someone, if they said, hey, we've been doing this for 6, 9, 10 months, whatever, and nothing's happening, I would say, well, what else, what does your website look like? Are there conversion opportunities on your website? Is there some kind of compelling offer? It's just one part. Content is just one part, and And blog content, very broadly, is really at the top of the funnel. And so that will bring traffic. But if you're bringing traffic to a piece of crap website, nothing's going to happen. Do you have any downloads? Do you have any gated content? Again, what conversion opportunities are there? And so it just begs more questions.
And what do you feel like with that, right? If somebody's doing a blog and say their website's okay, decent call to action, like call now or whatever, but like what, in your experience, like what's a simple tie down, or like, is it, you hear like, the top 5 things you could like, do you have any like quick and dirty recommendations on like a tie down or a call to action that somebody could just, because I think a lot of businesses, like they're not doing any of this. Like you would think in 2025, like everybody have it figured out, but I can go back to 2009. I don't think it's gotten any better. Like nobody really knows what call to action is. So like, what do you recommend? Is it, download this PDF? Is it, what's a good hook?
So I think some of the downloads, I think some of the gated content stuff might be out of fashion a little bit. So I would say, first I would say, I don't know. Then I would say test and A/B test some stuff. I think some download stuff can still work. It might depend on your market. It might depend on your prospect. Again, like we're speaking generally here, so I don't know. Another call to action might be speak to a human, right? I will evaluate what you have going on and give you my expertise advice. That may work really well. Again, depends on the market, depends on the prospect. So, but I circle back to A/B test. If you have some decent traffic coming to the homepage, you can A/B test. It's not hard to do, and see what performs.
So you bring me to my next question. Speaking to humans, so you got the elephant in the room, right?
Yes,
AI. And like I actually, like, it was terrible. I saw something this morning, like a tragedy in the news, and people like posted photos, like the photos AI generated.
Yeah.
And it's like I see content today. Like I can spot ChatGPT 10 miles away.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, how are you guys embracing, like coming from content, like there's big changes, big headwinds coming, and people are like, well, that's great, but I can go to like ChatGPT and get 52 blogs created in 4.5 seconds. So
what I'll say is, and I'm not an expert in this space, about a month ago we had in our chapter, we had one of our, actually it was global. We had an AI expert talk to us about this. And so the first thing is AI can spot AI content. And so what's interesting to me is as a owner of a business that is in the content game, what we do is still supremely valuable. AI has not pushed us out. It's only reinforced the need for content with a heart. AI is not able to do that yet. AI cannot put a human fingerprint on it. Only a human can do that. So AI can spot AI generated content. The speaker that we had is speculates that all the AI platforms are going to get together and create a standard, and they're going to sort of police each other. So Gemini can spot Gemini generated content, and they have said that they will push you further down in the results if that's all you're presenting. And it sounds like, remember 15 years ago when you did keyword stuffing and you got punished? It's like the same thing. So AI is great for generating content, but you have to have a human finish it. You have to have a human edit it and put that human fingerprint on it. And so as a content company, we have an army of writers and an army of editors. We leverage AI for ideation. We leverage AI for doing some of the heavy lifting, but all of our content passes through the hands of a human. And so the companies that aren't doing that, they're gonna suffer.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's a stronger selling point. Like, hey, we're leveraging it to our best of our ability, but yeah, like use ChatGPT content like it's kind of garbage. It's funny because my kids, I have 5 kids, but one of them, like, he didn't do his homework or something, and he's like, I'll just use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I said, well, like somebody else is like, well, they like the teachers run software, right? To like, He goes, oh, you just tell it to make itself undetectable.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But I see huge opportunity. I even hate to give this. Well, it's not really a secret, but there's a lot of opportunity right now. Like I got in the wild, wild west in SEO back in like 06, 09. I could get somebody ranked number one on Google just from putting in their title tag on the homepage of the website. So if you were like a painter, like painting houses in your city, I could do that, write some really bad content. I was the writer. I did all the SEO and I could get people ranked. That was like the beginning. Today there's such a switch to AI where like, I don't care about ranking on Google. It's getting the response on Gemini, ChatGPT, Gronk. Hey, I'm looking for like, I see this vision of operating out of that AI to like, it knows your buying decisions. It's serving you up to say, hey, like, so it's interesting. Like, how do you guys, I mean, you kind of answered it already by just good quality content will naturally get picked up, right?
Yeah. So that's coming. The whole search, you could say the search interface is going to change. I mean, they're experimenting now. You see it now. You do this, you do searches and that top section is now AI generated results. And you've already seen this. There's companies that line up with the question you asked. At some point, they're going to show us how to monetize. They're going to show us how to advertise. That'll become the new way. But to your point, the organic way will continue to be putting out good content.
What's crazy about Google search, like up until like 6 months ago, on my deathbed, I'd be like, get rid of my Google history. Like I don't use Google anymore, ever. Like I strictly use ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, it's helped me make some buying decisions. It's made some bad decisions.
Sure.
But the reality is like I'm 100% operating out of that. And I see a world like it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves with Google and how they're monetizing today, because local search, pay-per-click advertising, and even pay-per-click advertising ties into how well your content is and how you're positioned and all that stuff. Like it's kind of nervous. Like 3 to 5 years from now is like really, like, what's your crystal ball? Like, how are you guys positioning the company?
Yeah, well, I think it'll happen faster than that. I think people not using the traditional search function in a browser, that will go away. I think faster than that. We continue to stand on the fact that search loves human generated use. That hasn't changed, and based on what we're learning or know, it's not going to change. And so we continue to stand on that with our messaging and our offers and services. So my crystal ball is that the world will still want human generated content.
Yeah, I feel like I think about this in the way I look at gasoline vehicles and electric vehicles. Like, I think that whoever was in charge of all of that, like, really missed an opportunity to, like, really push hybrids first to warm up the market. I felt it when, I mean, I'm from Detroit, right? So, like, I'm for, like, all the big threes here, but I love burning gas. There's no, I'm not going to go, like, charge my electric vehicle and waste 40 minutes. Like, but the reality is, I feel like if the market was introduced to, hey, it's half a battery and half gas, and like I'm going to tease the market, like I kind of feel like this is the same thing of like, we're going from like the traditional way of how things were done to like this really different thing. And like, is that middle, like, what's that middle look like? Or do you think it's just going to glaze over and it's just like, this is the new way?
Yeah. You mean with respect from how someone searches?
Yeah, searching, or like how, just the traditional way of how, customers are using content, web, and just general users, and how, just like they're researching, right? They're researching information. Like that whole process is going to change.
I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's same, but I mean, I think it is a drastic change. I mean, to your point about how you search now, you don't even go to a browser. Or you go to a browser, but it's the AI browser, AI interface. So yeah, I mean, I think for early adopters like people like us, it probably doesn't feel like any real change because we just easily assimilate to those things. We're comfortable. There's a whole group that's not comfortable, and there's yet another group. They're going to use Google till they can't search for anything anymore.
Those are the people that have the AOL.com address still.
They're still using dial-up, yes.
So how do you hire? Like, what's your take on hiring or your staff? Right? Like, could I show up in an interview and just chat GPT my way through? Like, how are you assessing? Is it all based on their experience, or like, how do you assess to know that they're a phenomenal writer with all these tools in place today?
Good question. So, we certainly, obviously, I guess it's obvious, we ask for writing samples. And again, I think it's easy to detect AI generated content today. That may change tomorrow. Tomorrow they may figure out how to give it a heart, but today, you can spot it pretty easily. So our editing team is able to assess the quality of someone's written content, and so it's still very old school in that way. When we're hiring for a strategist, that sort of filter we use is different. We give people assignments in our hiring process. And so we give them assignments, and if they complete those assignments, those people, and that's not, special to us. Lots of companies do that. But some people don't complete the assignments, right? Great. You have just filtered yourself out. But those that complete the assignment, we have to take a minute and evaluate what they've done.
So we come from like EO, right? Like thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs, and you got like ghostwriters out there, and everybody's like, oh, you should write a book. Like, how important is that as you're talking to companies and they're doing blogs and pushing out all that content? Do you feel like that's an important mechanism for a business today?
So we have a couple of product lines, service lines, if you will, and we have one that is focused on call it corporate leadership, right? So owner of the company wants to build or create some content around them. We've written a number of books for entrepreneurs. We write content that, either company leader or department leader might use on LinkedIn to position themselves as a thought leader in their particular space. And so I don't know, I think writing a book still has some cachet. I think it's less now than it was maybe a decade ago. But I might first ask the person, well, why do you want to write a book? What are you going to do once you have the book? So I think it begs some additional questioning. Books are good for folks who want to build a brand around themselves, and they're going to go into consulting or speaking. I think it makes a lot of sense. But if you're just CEO of a company, I don't know that it really helps the company. It helps you, but not the company.
Yeah, no, that's good insight. Yeah, somebody asked me, they're like, you should have a ghostwriter and do this. And I'm like, I looked in the corner of my office, like I could envision a big box of all these books. Like I don't know what I would do with it.
Yeah.
And then that's funny. That's why I asked you earlier about content. Like, as much as if you asked me to write a blog article, I would stare at my computer all day long and I would not get it done. But then as a visionary entrepreneur, if I source that to you, I would guarantee that I would come back with so many edits and changes. And like, is that the juice, right? Is that like, I just, I need the training wheels, or I just need the context to start, or like, what do you see with your
use the magic word, and that's context. And so, context is everything. You would be able to write something if I gave you the right prompt. If I said to you, well, what are the 5 questions that your customers always have? That now you have something to go on. Or what's the most important thing for fill in the blank? You'd have something to go on. Well, there's certainly customers of ours who they come back with 1 million edits and they're seeking perfection, and that's a problem because there is no such thing as perfection. And so we deal with that with our customers. We have to coach them. We have to encourage them to trust us, and it might be a little messy in the beginning. It might take a minute for us to really capture your voice. Because at the end of the day, we want our customers to say, oh, you wrote it just like I would have written it had I taken the time to write it.
Right.
And so that's kind of our standard that we want to meet.
So if somebody listening has never done a blog or anything, and they're like, I don't even know where to get started, like what would be that one prompt you would give them to say, if you could just knock this out this week to add some value? Because number one, I want them to realize how hard it is. And then they could like probably just hire you and get their time back, right? Yeah. But like what would that one thing be? What is that advice you would give?
Yeah, the FAQs is one of them. What are the 10 questions you're always dealing with? And further, this is where AI is very useful. If you give AI a detailed prompt, and the longer the prompt, the better your results will be. So if you gave AI a prompt like, I'm the founder of this business or the CEO of this particular business. These are the kinds of customers we help. These are the problems that we solve. This is what we're really good at. This is our brand personality. And again, you give it as much context, again, really important, as much context as you can. And then you ask it to give you 25 topics to write about that helps me connect with my customer base. It'll give them to you. And maybe 80% of them are spot on. And the other 20% might be off base. But that's the kind of prompt, that's the coaching I would give. Now you then have to go write the articles. Yeah. You could ask AI to, okay, great. 1 through 10 are perfect. Write an article for each one. 485 words, use these keywords, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You could do that. And it's going to look like AI wrote it.
If you did that, it's kind of not a loaded question, but what if you just did that? Like, who cares?
Yeah, sure. And there's companies out there doing it. Like I see it on LinkedIn all the time. When someone's putting out their post or thought leadership content, you can spot it a mile away.
Like, you're a talent though. Like, you have a different eye.
I do.
Like, to the average person, like, does it really matter? Do you see a world of like everybody's doing it, or like?
Yeah. In some cases, in some universes, it doesn't matter. I think where it really matters is if you're going to put that AI content on your website, it's not going to perform the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, that's why we have websites. They're our virtual stores, and we need people to walk into the store. And so that's where it matters.
Yeah. It's almost like I feel like it would catch up with you really quick. Like, it'd be a bad strategy to do that. But I love the idea of using AI for prompting, ideation, training wheels, kickstarting. Yeah. Like, I think it's great. Like, I tell people, like, leverage it all the time. It's the best idea generator.
Absolutely. It's a great partner.
Yeah.
We like to think about it as a partner, it's just a tool, right? So how do you help me think through things? How do you help me see things that I may not normally see or otherwise wouldn't see because I just don't have the vision for it? So it's a great partner.
Yeah, or even like, hey, like, as the CEO founder, like, I'm too emotionally tied to this business. Give me some feedback on some blind spots I would have based on what I've been doing lately, kind of off the content, is uploading Colby indexes.
Oh, neat.
Like, with internal team members and customers, and like, it's crazy. Like, the more info you can feed that thing. So now it's like, it's got my whole leadership team on our numbers of Colby. It's pretty amazing stuff. Like, I want to get this point across to this person. Here's my problem, and it'll translate it on how I can best communicate.
It's a great tool, and you can build innumerable tools. And I think today that's where AI is really great.
Well, Dave, super cool talking to you. My one big takeaway is, like, figuring out the 10 frequently asked questions and starting to develop content around that. But I think people are going to realize at some point, like, it's really hard, and most visionaries are probably not best suited to do this work. It's better to hire professionals and get your time back. How can people get in contact with you if it's something that they need help with? Yeah,
LinkedIn's the best spot. So Dave Kustin, linkedin.com/Dave Kustin. I'm on there, and that's really the best spot to connect with me. And I'm happy to help anyone think through anything, whether it's on the brand strategy side or the content marketing, storytelling side. Happy to chat. Well, cool, man. I really appreciate all the feedback today and having you on. It was definitely a lot of value. Thanks for having me. It was great, Wes. Thanks so much. Man. We'll see you. All right. Talk soon. This has been another episode of Entrepreneur Intel. Thank you for joining us. For show notes or other episodes, please visit us at entrepreneurintel.com. Until next time.